Okay, we're going to start looking at if statements. Welcome back for another exciting C# YouTube tutorial. We're going to click on week 6. Keep in mind the date here will change for future. And we're going to come in and we're going to scroll down and we're going to go look at this very first C# if sample. Before you look at this code, you should look at these postings, you should look at this PowerPoint, and you definitely should take the if challenge. I'm going to right click. I'm going to bring it down to my documents. Here's the Studio 2012 projects, and I'm going to bring it down. Okay, I'm going to go to my download manager, right click, open containing folder. And then I'm going to right click and extract here. Your extract may be a different option. You can see it appears right there. I am now going to double click here. And I'm going to click on the solution. And I'm going to open with 2012. You should be able to just be able to double click. Okay, here's the form. Now is a good time to review on a couple components. Let me make this a little bigger for you. And notice this is output only. So what you should do is come over here and set it to read only, true, and the tab stop to false. You shouldn't be able to tab through to an output only text box. So I'm going to show you two ways to set the tab order. One is you click here and you say tab stop true, and you set that to 2. You can set it to 0 or 1. And the next one that you want to set is this one. So you want to be able to jump from here to here. And we're going to set that to 3. Then we're going to set this one to 4. As long as they're in sequence, you're okay. I'm going to set this one to 5. This one to 6. And this one to 7. Don't worry about setting the labels, because labels by default do not have a tab stop. Another way you can do it is you go to View, Tab Order, and it comes up and it shows 0, 1, which remember, labels you don't have to worry about. Then you tab to here, 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 and up here. And to change, you simply just double click on it. Okay. So I'm going to go to View, Tab Order to get it away. What I'm going to show you now is a program that has the same logic written different ways. This is the most simplistic, the simple if else is a little more complicated, and switch is a little more complex but more efficient. Simple, intermediate, more advanced, execute slower, a little faster, and the fastest. So I'm going to show you what the code does, and then we're going to look at it. So you run the program, and you enter in a month number, such as 2, and it will come back and tell you what the month name is. So click there. I put a breakpoint in here. Remember, you can put a breakpoint by clicking. So what we do is the same as in every program we write for most of the semesters. You declare your variables once. You convert whatever input capable text box is to its equivalent number, and then you have some kind of calculations or conditions in this case. And then you look down here, we output. So the first thing we do is declare a byte and a string. You do a byte because the user is going to enter in a number from 1 to 12, hopefully. We don't need to have anything bigger than a byte because we don't anticipate numbers greater than 12, and the byte fits perfectly. So I'm going to take the text, which is a 2, notice the quotes around it, and when this line is done executing, it's going to convert it from a text or string, text and string are the same, to a byte numeric number. I'm going to do an F10 to step through the code. You can also find that out under the debug menu. And notice you can add a breakpoint by doing F9 or F10 to step through the code. So I'm going to hit F10. Notice the 2 with double quotes around it, which is a string, has been converted to a 2 number with no quotes around it. And it's going to check to see if byte, the value of byte month, which is a 2, equals, and equal equals the sign for equality to 1, and it's not. And it's going to come down and check to see if a 2 is equal to a 2, which we know is true. So notice whatever's within the curly braces is what happens when it's true. And set February string. And notice the code will keep executing. It will keep checking this for the month by month to see if it's equal to the number, even though we already have a match. Okay, we come down here, we set it to February, and then it goes out to the output. Okay, F10 again, and there we go. Let's just say the user puts in 13. Let's see what happens then. Okay, we come in, we step through the code. Now we notice it's going to check 13 equal to 1, and 2, and 4, and 3, obviously. I skipped 3. 5, 6, it's going to check all of them. And it's not going to get a match. When it comes down here, it's going to do a blank into the text box. And how that happens is because I initialize sname to a space, and only if the conditions were true do we put in the month name. So if we reach down here, and the user entered a month of 13, there's no matches, so a blank gets put in. And you can see the user doesn't see any message, it just didn't make a match. So I'm going to end the program, and I'm going to show you the code on the if-else. And I'm going to put a breakpoint right here. If I didn't want the breakpoint, one way to do it is click in the gutter, click again, or you can hit F9 on this line. And you'll notice the code looks pretty much 1 and 2 are exactly the same. But you can see we linked, instead of separate if statements, these are separate if statements. Follow, see if and if. But what I did is I linked them together. Oh, I have a little typo here. I linked them together with an else if. So that means anytime there's a condition that is met, it won't keep checking. And let's see how this runs. So I'm going to put in 2, and instead of this one, we're going to click here. The breakpoint comes up, and we notice that this line of code converted from a text to a numeric byte number 2. So watch the difference how this executes. This doesn't match, so it comes here. 2 does equal to, so we set February to sname. And look what's going to happen. It's going to skip the rest of the code because it made its match. And it's going to come down here. So watch the execution. See how it jumped? Once it made a match, it skips all the other possibilities. That is what an if-else does. It links them together for execution. And you notice we also got the output, but we also have the ability to let the user know that they entered bad data with an if-else. So it's going to come through, and look, it's going to make a check. So in this situation, because it doesn't make a match, it keeps dropping through, keeps going through, keeps going through. And notice it hits this else, no further if. All these else ifs are saying if it's this, great. If not, else if it's this. But by the time we get to here, it has not matched any of the other 12 above. So look what we can show the user is a message saying, hey, month unknown. We put that into sname, and sname gets assigned to here. Notice there's no reason to convert to a two-string because sname is a string and the text is a string. Text and strings are the same thing in C#. No need to convert. There you go. The next piece of code I want to bring your attention to is the switch statement, which is a little more complex. So let's click on switch. And in most things in life, if it's complex, it probably runs a little more efficiently. So notice we still have the declaring the variables once up front. Notice we don't have to put byte in front of here again because we already declared it once, but we can use it. And we convert from a text to a byte. And now notice the code is a little different. We have switch, and in parentheses you always put the variable that you want to check. And then you have case, and what you're checking it to equal. So if byte happens to equal 1, this piece of code will happen, and the break statement says break out of the switch, continue down here. I made my match, don't look anymore. If I didn't have a break, the code would keep dropping down through, which is not what we want. And in our other scenarios, we had a byte value of 2, and you'll notice when we're debugging this, it will skip right over here and come to here, and it saves time and execution. A little more complicated in coding, but much more of a benefit when executed. So you got to think about writing code that would be on an app or over internet. You want to run as fast and efficiently as possible. Let's compare this to the if-else. Notice with the switch, you put the switch in parentheses in a variable, and what you're comparing to goes below with the case. Here, you would do an if with parentheses, so that's similar. The variable and its relational operator, in this case this is equality. Notice the equal signs for assignment, double equals for equality. So whenever you're comparing something with if statements, you got to make sure you're comparing to something else. So I have a variable compared to another variable. But actually it's not a variable, it's what we call literal. A literal is a number or value that never changes. One will always be one, but the byte month will change depending on what the user entered. So see the structure of the if statement? If parentheses, the variable, some sort of relationship operator being equal, greater than, less than, and what you're comparing to. So you always have to have two. In the switch, we are comparing to two, but it's done on separate lines. Here's what the variable we're comparing and what we're comparing to. Let's run it. Okay, we're going to put in a 2. I'm going to click switch. And look right here, it's saying check the byte month value and compare it to, and you'll notice it's going to jump immediately down to you. See how quick that was? Puts the 2. Breaks you out of the switch, and then we take the value and put it here. Come back here. Now let's put in 13, and we'll see how efficient this is. It's going to jump all the way down the bottom very quickly because it knows it doesn't have a match. So you can see, simple, a little more complex but faster. Switch a little more complex than if else, but runs very fast. Let's type in 12 and do the if else. I just want to show you how this would execute. It converts, but notice it's going to keep checking until it makes a match. So the performance of this situation is not as efficient as if you ran it with the switch, because it had to go through check all 12 till it made a match. As compared to this, see how quick it is. And I hope you enjoyed this tutorial.